This video is sponsored by Into the AM. Hey, you heard about this thing? It's the Big Bot Bash, and I've been invited to participate. So how it works is you roll a dice 5 times and it decides what your robot, scratch-built robot thingy is going to be. Let's roll the dice. 15, carapace. Perfect. 19, bones. 3, extras. That's good. I like that one. 9, what a knockout. 11, dash. Don't like that one. And for the overall flavour, 18, which is asymmetrical, which is great. So now with all of these prompts for the body, head, arms, hands, legs and the flavour, going to start building a bloody bot. See you in a second. Here we go. Starting off with the carapace part of the build, which is this little plastic yellow thing that's been in my box for ages. It looks like it was the hull of a boat, a toy boat, possibly. I think I remember my daughter having a toy boat. It's all a blur. And to carapace it up even more, I've got this thing that's the top of a spray bottle. I'm going to attach that to the boat hull. Now, I may have just lied to you because that blue thing I had broke, so I got another one. But it's pretty much the same shape, just a misty white colour instead. Now, a few videos back and a few other videos since, I think, I introduced these junk bots, which I'm going to be using quite a lot for this project. They're just these crappy little toys. Well, they're crappy for kids, great for us scratch builders. I'm going to start off with this engine type thing. It's an interesting shape. I'm sure you'll agree. Going to stick that underneath the carapace, and that's got our hips. We're starting with our hips. The hips don't lie. Minute on the lips, lifetime on the hips. This has nothing to do with anything. Just trying to be cool. Now, what are attached to hips? Legs, but I need a stick, and to get the stick I'm going to use this lolly. Now, I don't really want a lolly right now, but I will eat it because I do not believe in waste. Since I'm doing this, I have purchased a bag of cake pop sticks. So I won't have to do this ever again. Eat a lolly, that is. Not that there's nothing wrong with it, it was fine. I just didn't really want it. I didn't want to eat a lolly under duress. I am in charge of the lolly, not the other way around. The lolly is not in charge of me, alright? I'm not going to be made to eat sweets just to scratch build. I mean, I did it just then. That's the last time. Lolly. So we've got a hip joint, we've got the leg, the stick there for the hip joint. I'm going to use some more junk bot pieces. Now, one of the prompts for my legs was dash, so I'm not going to do legs. I'm going to make a wheel. I wasn't particularly excited about this, but it turned out alright, and it was a lot easier than making legs. You'll notice there's another extra bit there that I didn't show being built. It's the little claw thing. That's another junk bot piece there I'm showing you right now, just so you don't feel like I've deceived you in any kind of way. Now, this wheel needs a tyre, and to do this I'm going to use some EVA foam. Cut a strip of EVA foam and wrap it around. But I'm going to put some grooves in it so it looks like it's got a bit of grip. Doesn't look like any tyre you will ever see, but it looks like every tyre you will see in a half-arsed drawing of a tyre. See, the lines aren't even straight, but it's fine. By the end it's fine. Trust me. Now, when you're scratch building things, sometimes you get stuck and you're thinking, oh my god, I can't see the big picture. But sometimes the best thing to do is to just bulk the thing up. And I'm going to do that with these lids that I've got. I don't know where the lids came from. I'm going to slot this into its gut. This is going to be the gut, the belly of the bot. Sometimes it's good to just bulk it up and then add things on top. You can always add more and even take it away. I mean, it's easier to add than it is to take away, but just go for it. That's my advice for today. Heed it! There I go rambling. I've made an arm and used a plastic covered paper clip there. I was pointing at that just a minute ago. Now throughout this build you will notice extra little bits being added here and there, and that is just parts from this model kit that was sent to me by a patron. Thank you very much. I'm just going to be adding random bits here and there. It's nice to just sort of diffuse the eye. So you don't want to look at any one piece and say, well, that's a lid. If you can just add bits here and there, they'll be like, that looks like a lid. But that little plasticky bit isn't normally on a lid. It can't be a lid then. That is how you scratch build. This here be a pile of all the different types of wires I have. But before I use them, I want to quickly direct your attention to today's sponsor. Hi, I'm Dan, and when I go outside I like to wear clothes. It's just my thing. Thank you Into the AM for making that happen. Seriously though, thank you Into the AM for sponsoring this video. The t-shirts are great. Look at this. What a lovely design. All original designs. Into the AM are a team of artists and creators that share a common vision. They see clothing as a canvas, much like my chest is a canvas right now. So soft as well, they're very soft. Each of their t-shirts are crafted from the highest quality fabrics, made with eco-friendly inks. I don't wear t-shirts often, because I feel a bit insecure in them. Seriously, it's like a fouled omelette under here. But this t-shirt fits great. Get the old muscles out. This comes with 40 years of grizzled work in offices mainly. There's a link in my description. Click that, go to the site, get 10% off. Thanks Into the AM. A big thanks to Into the AM. This is a piece of armature wire, and I'm going to use this with all those other wires. Remember the wires? I'm going to twist them around to make a trunk. I'll call it a trunk of wires, and use this thing as some kind of neck that will be slotted into the hole of one of those lids. As I describe this, you would have seen it on screen, rendering this narration ultimately pointless. But I shall continue. We can't have those wires flailing about willy-nilly, so I'm using a receipt roll to slot around the wires to give it the illusion of being intact. It's intact, but just if it was real, those wires would be everywhere. And the robot's looking a bit like a diplodocus, especially when I add this piece, which is from the model kit. I'm going to attach this to where the head will be. It's not the head, but it's where the head will be. Keep that in mind. This is some thick floral wire that is straight, and some illegal plastic cotton buds. I'm not using them for my ears, Gov. Promise. Gonna slot the plastic from the cotton buds over the rods, and then make an arm. 99% of the time, at the end of an arm is a shoulder. But I want you to look at the other end of the arm and notice there's usually a hand. And this is a hand from the junk box kit. But I don't like the look of it, so I'm going to cut the fingers off and make my own. To do this, I used some wire and beads. But I wasn't happy with the little round bead at the end for the fingertip, so I changed it for a longer round bead. This happens later on. Anyway, there's his hand, 3 digits, like the rest of us. Now it's time to add another arm on the opposing side. Now remember, this build is asymmetric, so I'm not going to put it in the same spot as the other. I want it to be just off. I'm going to have this poking out of the carapace. Spud me brosif. This hand is in the shape of a fist. And you might be asking yourself, why is that hand in the shape of a fist? Well, it's so I can attach this dowel. I want to have this dowel, because remember, one of the prompts was, it's a knockout. And that's what this stick thing is going to be. Part of that. The it's a knockout bit. This is a roll of decorator's tape. I think it's the same as masking tape pretty much, but I'm going to use this to wrap around the wooden dowel to give the impression of a leather handle type thing. Picture the Ninja Turtle Donatello staff, that kind of thing. But once it's all attached, gonna cover it in super glue so it's nice and strong, just like Donatello. And then I'd have a plastic tube that I'm gonna cut and slot onto this thing because it fits perfectly, luckily, at each end, just to make the thing a little bit more ornate. Now, what's going at the end of the dowel, I hear you ask? This is a counter from an old pinball machine I had. I think it's a very old 80s toy that just didn't work, so I dismantled it. Sacrilege, I know. Attached a miniature base at each end, and there you go, we've got a lovely looking club. I've drilled a few dents into it as well, just so the thing looks real beaten up. And there it is, standing up all on its own thanks to the giant hand and the rod. That was also part of the reason I added this down. The thing stands up on its own now. Not that it matters because I make a base for it later on anyway, but it's a cool silhouette. I like the stance. You can't do a scratch build without adding some rivets, and to do that I've got this lovely box of half spherical beads, and I'm going to add these starting with the club, around the club, just to give that a bit more detail. But then I think the half spherical beads are already out, let's add rivets everywhere else. Now I'm not going to show this entire process, but you'll notice that little pearly beads are added to this this bot all over. This is one of my favourite parts of the build, in any build. These tyres come with added grip. I don't know if they would add any grip. I think if anything it will make it more slippery, but it looks better. So, you know, I'm not a mechanic or a tyre expert, but I know what I like. Now these washers are galvanised, I think, or whatever, so you need to scratch them up. Hear that? That's me scratching my palm. Scratch them up with a file, just so the paint will stick. I'm using these round disc things with holes in that I bought from a disreputable site a while back, and making these little vents. One of the prompts was extra limbs, and you're probably thinking, hey, he's forgotten about the prompts. I haven't. So I'm going to add an extra little arm coming off the elbow of this arm. That will make a total of 3 limbs, 4 if you include the legs being a wheel. But I will add more. There'll be more, don't worry. This is a little tub of bead things, hollow beads. And this is a box of plastic coated paper clips. Now I'm going to make some little, I don't know what you'd call them, bumpers? Little rod things, just to stick on it, just to add a bit of interest. You'll see what I mean. Give it a little snippy snip, and then a little pokey poke. And there we have it. Stick these things all over. Now remember when I said that 4 limbs wasn't enough? Well, I've added an extra 2 that I didn't show the making of. Just little grabber type claw ones hanging off the head. Sorry, I just got a text message there. So many professional video makers on YouTube, and I like to count myself among them. I rolled bones for the head, which I wasn't very happy about. But my friend Mr. Ashens from the YouTube sent me this skeleton a while back. I don't know why. I think he sends a skeleton to everybody. Maybe it's some kind of threat. But it has a skull that's pretty accurate. And I'm going to pop that in the hole. Thanks, Stuart. Away with you now, headless skeleton. There shall be a use for you someday.
What about me?
Well, I'm going to use you right now. Was you listening?
I've no ears. I feel so tall. I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. I won't let you...
Enough! Skeleton. For it is time you were primed. I do love the priming stage. I say this every time. First we give it a black prime, And then I'm going to cover it in a burnt sienna to give that nice rust colour. Let it spin a bit more. Then going to overbrush with a dark aluminium, making sure not to get into all the gaps. And then we're ready for a bit of paint. Aside from the paint I just used. Proper painting. The painting stage. Yawn, am I right? Probably not. There's probably a lot of you that enjoy the painting stage. Not this guy. You can't see my thumb pointing at my chest. Anyway, going to start with some dark grey and paint all the cables a dark grey. Interesting. And then onto the staff handly bit. Going to paint that a greeny beige colour. I don't know why I picked this. I didn't like it, so then I went over the top of it with a leather brown speed paint, which gave quite a nice leather effect. Quite happy with that. I thought long and hard about the colour of the carapace, so I went with dark
Bloody
flesh
red.
tone. Going to paint all of the external metallic parts that I fancy in a dark
Bloody
flesh
red.
tone colour. I ended up changing my mind about the dark flesh tone colour and ended up painting it.
Bloody red.
But I do use the dark flesh tone on certain pieces. Now settle down, boys. Settle it down. Come on, lads. It's a strange colour, this one. Sometimes it looks like a very dark clotted red. Other times it just looks plain brown. It's looking a bit brown now, but trust me, by the end it looks fine with the washes and such. Now you would have noticed that I've left little chip type bits on all of the paintwork there. There's little patches of missing paint, so I'm going to use a lighter colour on the bottom edge and a darker colour on the top edge to make these chips 3D. Now if the lines come out too thick, I use a little bit of the
Bloody red.
to take the lines back in a bit, and it's a great effect. Looks nice if you can be bothered. Otherwise it's fine, you don't have to do it, it's just if you can be bothered. It makes a bit of difference. All the metalwork underneath the shell, I suppose, is looking a bit dull, so I've taken a light silver and a brass, added them in places. The brass I've added to the staff, the light silver I've added to the extremities, and it's made hardly any difference at all, but the effort was there. I tried. It's time to paint the skull, your typical skull colours. There are a million tutorials on how to paint bone. I didn't follow any of them, and the skull doesn't look that great. But I tried. Bit of beige, bit of a lighter beige, bit of a brown wash. Grimy as you like.
I'm a dirty boy.
I think I've achieved all of the dice rolls for this big bot bash. Have the bony for the head, got the asymmetrical flavour, got the extra limbs for the body, got the it's a knockout for the hands, dash, got the wheel, but I want some go faster stripes, because it is a scientific fact that if you paint stripes on something it goes faster. Though this is a little painful to watch with my fat fingers fumbling about, when you do finally reveal that straight edge, it is lovely. Not all of the edges were as straight, but I neatened them up with a bit of
Bloody red.
Now I also added a white stripe down its head piece, its neck. I suppose its collar is what you'd call it. I didn't show it, but I gave this entire thing a black oil wash. There are a million tutorials out there how to make a black oil wash. It's basically white spirit with some black oil paint. Let that dry for a night and then wipe off the excess, and it's improved it greatly. Just in time for me to add my own rust effect, which will be a bit of PVA glue, some baking soda, and these two different rust effect washes. Give that a go. I never tried it before. We'll see how it looks. I pooped in a cup. Start with the holes in the club there. That's going on pretty well. Quite happy with that. Let's let that dry. And then here it is, covered in rust, covered in a black oil wash, ready for its base. Have a look at that. I'm quite happy with this. The colour always looks a bit too bold until you add the washes, and then it all comes together. Now the base is a sheet of MDF with some XPS foam on top, with some EVA foam sheets on top of that, and a bit of sprue and some little half spherical beads. Didn't feel the need to show you this. You've all seen it before. I'm going to attach it to the base, but meanwhile I'd like to thank Bill Making Stuff for arranging this collaboration, and be sure to check out the playlist. There's a lot of big hitters in there. We've got Boyle Hobby Time, we've got Miscast, we've got Scratch Bashing, we've got Whittle Goblin, we've got Weltenbauer Club, Gert from Dark Matter Workshop, Theo Kane, Slimehouse. Lots of people in there doing this stuff. At Bell. Gamey Builds is in there. Check out the playlist. A lot of great robots there. And before the showcase comes along, I want to say a big thank you to my patrons that have been incredibly patient with me the last month, and constantly showing me your support. I love you. I love you all. I actually depend on you. So if you'd like to support this channel, ensure this channel keeps going, then the link to my Patreon is down below. Also, if you can't do that, subscribe. Or if you don't want to do that, like, comment, all that stuff, because the YouTube algorithm hates me. Here's the robot.